Okay, we're going to go off to Russia now. It was China last week where the boys, the tennis boys, Snize and James, gave us Petra Martic 12-1. She came second. Lads, how are we?
Not too bad, thank you.
Snize, we hit the post with Martic last week, although she was up against tournament joint favourite was Svitolina Pliskova. I mean, she got destroyed in the final, but the money was still there. We had her each way at 12s. Picking up's nice. What can we expect from the St. Petersburg Open, James?
Okay, so we have 2 ATP events this week. St. Petersburg is the one that is in Russia. It probably has slightly more high-profile names in it, but they're very comparable, very heavy weeks, which is what you often expect. After the Slam, you'll have a few events which will kind of, this lower-ranked players will often want to get some points, get on the leaderboard. But really we see Medvedev coming back after his really strong run at the US Open to head this field. Probably the biggest, most obvious question is, will he be able to keep it up? I mean, he's defied all expectation in terms of fatigue so far, but he's certainly got a burnout at some point. You'd expect that the US Open final would be, taking Rafa to 5 sets. He was almost took it in that 5th set as well at the start. So, he'll probably be on a come down from that would be my guess. So he heads the top of the field. You have Kachanov at the bottom of the field, who's a player who should be feeling like it's his time of year now. This should be his kind of period where he's should be a bit fresher. He's not played that many matches, should be able to do better, but he hasn't played that well this year. And then we've got Coric, who's got fitness concerns. We've got Berrettini, who played really well at the US Open. So we've got quite a strong top of the field in St. Petersburg.
Snize, when you went through this tournament and you have a little look and Medvedev's at the top and you're thinking to yourself, well, the crowd could carry him, but is he any value at the top of the market?
I would say no. So just to key in a little bit on this event and what to expect, this is a very weird week on the ATP schedule. The tour moves indoors for just the 1 week before we move over to the Asian hardcourt swing. So very strange position here with players coming from the US Open and the North American hardcourt swing, squeeze in this little random indoors week, and then they move on to Asia and an entirely different continent. So that makes it so it's pretty difficult to gauge where the players' mentalities are at, if they're preparing for the Asian swing, if they're really into it physically and mentally. And we've seen that a bit thus far. A lot of underdogs have come through thus far in those 2 tournaments, in Metz and St. Petersburg. So yeah, the first 4 seeds here, they each have a bye. And I do not think that Medvedev is value at the top of the pile because he has played, I think it's 23 matches in the last 35 days. Like James said, eventually he will run out of gas. And also worth noticing is that no top seed has won this tournament in the last 10 years, apart from Dominic Thiem, and that was last year. So it's a very, very bad tournament to back the number 1 seed, and they do not seem to prevail. So I would not see he's the value there.
Okay, well, I'm going to go straight to the outrights. Rafa, if you can stick the first one up. Ricardas Berankis at 41. Who wants to take it away, James or Snize?
Snize tipped it. I'll let him describe it.
Go on then, Snize.
Yeah. So Ricardas Berankis, he's been placed in the first quarter, and Ricardas Berankis is a great indoors player who usually does his best work during this part of the season. This is his time of year. He has 171-87 career record indoors. He made the quarterfinal here along with a Moscow final in 2017, made the Moscow quarterfinal last year. So there's plenty of evidence to suggest that he does do really well in this part of the year. He crushed Dudi Sela in the first round, already came through a match there 6-3, 6-love. And as we've said here, Medvedev has been making Ironman run after Ironman run. And eventually he will just run out of steam. And I think Berankis is the standout value here price-wise. In this top half, the other seeds, we have Rublev, who only had a 9-15 indoor hardcourt record on the main tour prior to this. We have Matteo Berrettini, who doesn't move that well indoors. And just checking on the bottom halfway about Chodic, who's barely been fit all season. So really, it's a great chance for him. It's a small tournament. Obviously, he's already won his first match now, which means he's already in the round of 16. So the path to the final is pretty short in this small tournament. And he was one of the biggest prizes on the board, and I don't think that's justified at all. So he was my first selection there.
James, there's something we've got to tell people, because we've just come off the back of a major where everything was 5 sets. This is the best of 3. Is this why there's better value in the bigger price players? I mean, we're going to have a look. Mikhail Kukushkin at 26. I mean, that looks massive as well.
So Mikhail actually had a really good win over Bautista at the US Open. I think he was priced 8 in that match. So he's coming into this in good form as well. And yeah, absolutely. I think it's not necessarily that it's the 5 sets specifically that does it, although that clearly has an impact in terms of fitness, professionality. But it's really just the motivation of the players. The top players will obviously be much more inclined to put their effort in the slams, in the masters, and in the sort of 500s, the bigger events. A week and a half, 2 weeks after a major is probably a time where they're more inclined to be resting. Hence why, I think speculating that Medvedev is probably not going to be putting in 100% is probably a good idea. I mean, I think he's being priced up pretty much as if he was going to play near his best. So, I think it's sensible to assume he won't. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but Kukushkin, he's playing in front of the home crowd as well. I mean, surely Medvedev returning, he's almost like a hero. Like England, they get to the semi-final, they come back home, and even though they've been nowhere near the winners, they still get that sort of hero's welcome. Do you not think that he's going to get that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think they will, if they've got any sense about them, they'll be loving every minute of Medvedev at the minute. But yeah, I think Kukushkin is the kind of player who, I mean, he showed it at the US Open. He's able to beat these top guys even over the best of 5. But when it comes to indoor hard, I mean, it's by far his best surface. He loves the flatter ball, so he does a lot better on the slightly lower bouncing surfaces. He tends to prefer the perfect conditions. He's one that hits the ball very clean, so he doesn't do quite as well in the sort of windy conditions or the sun and things like that. And yeah, I mean, he's got an excellent record here as well. And I really think he's the kind of player that will be able to push the top guys and give them a few questions.
James, when does he play next, Kukushkin?
I will just find that for you now. 1 second.
Well, while you do, Snize, we're going to have a little look at one of the individual games. Alexander Bublik on the money line at 1.77 against Casper Ruud.
Indeed. So this is a match that goes off tomorrow, and this is also a match that I've previewed in an article that will be coming up on Oddsmarket.com either tonight or tomorrow, so be sure to check that one out. So this is a very interesting matchup. Casper Ruud is being hailed as the next coming of Christ by many this season. He has made fantastic strides. He's been up at a career high of 54. He's been in finals. And played really well. A lot of people seem to love him. He emulates Rafael Nadal's style. He's trained at his academy. But the thing is, he has almost no success whatsoever outside of the red dirt. He's almost exclusively a clay court player. And this is actually his first ever main draw indoors ATP match. His opponent, Bublik, on the other hand, certainly doesn't share the same love for the dirt as he does. He almost exclusively plays on outdoor or indoor hard courts. That makes up 73.2% of all of his career matches. He's mostly played on challenger level this season with great results. He's won 2 titles indoors in Budapest and Pau, and he also won 1 outdoors in Monterrey. He has a huge game, very flat strokes, powerful serve, and usually does not do well outside of the faster surfaces, but here he does. And usually he's done well at this part of the year. In Russia, the Kazakh made back-to-back quarterfinals in Moscow during the 2016 and during the 2017 season as a qualifier. And he already has 2 challenger titles to his name. He's racked up a 66% win rate on this surface. And the surface advantage is just massive here. These players are similarly ranked. Ruud ranked 60 right now. Bublik ranked 70. And he should be the big favorite here, in my opinion.
I noticed that Bublik and Kukushkin, they partnered each other in the doubles. They got knocked out. So that means that now they can concentrate on their singles campaign. James, what did you find out for me?
Yeah, so Kukushkin plays tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So you are not going to get the 26 that was offered at the start of the week. But I think he's still going to be value. He had a win in the first round, price 1.61. So it shouldn't destroy his price, I don't think. But yes, tomorrow at 2 o'clock is when it starts.
Okay, well, let's put St. Petersburg in the bin. We know that Kukushkin at 26 and Berankis at 41. If you get Kukushkin around the 20 to 1 mark, he's still great value. Let's go to
he's available at 19 right now, actually. Just shaking in the bets 365 have their markets up right now. If you haven't grabbed them at 26 already, as we tipped in the outright article, get him at 19. That's still value price.
And that's why
actually, 34.
Yeah,
still very nice.
Snize, I couldn't agree more. But this is another reason why. Obviously, we do sports bet daily at oddsmarket.com. Go over to oddsmarket.com. These boys put their articles up as soon as a draw's made, before a ball's hit, and you can get on early doors. So although we love you watching here and we enjoy you watching, go over and read their articles. It does give you a jump on the field. As I said last week, we had the runner-up in the women's tournament in China.